video clip that wasn't like on and working small sacrifice. You going hard, or the first 2 weeks of January you going hard, and you working out, and I know the feeling, I know what it is, cause you finish from the gym and you like go take your, cause all of y'all take them little pictures in the little like mirror. It's the same mirror.
They got the ring light. You gotta take a picture.
No, they do have a ring light there? Oh, then they made it
it's
for that.
It's on the bathroom.
So you go take your picture, but then when you leave, you like, man, I got to do this again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that the journey is a series of steps, and if you take it one step at a time, you'll get up the staircase, and then you'll be able to look down and be like, wow, that's really incredible. But if you stop after each landing and just pause for a second, then you feel like then you aren't using those muscles again.
Yeah. But to speak on a confidence level, especially with going to the gym, that's why, Planet Fitness has the no judgment.
Don't they have pizza on Sunday?
That's weird.
That's counterproductive,
that's so
okay?
Weird.
That is counterproductive. Do not go eat the pizza. Just don't even go on that day.
Workout.
Yeah, don't eat it before, during, or after. Y'all probably in there like, you know what? I did a good 10 reps.
Right.
I deserve a slice of pizza. Don't get no pizza, boo-boo.
But
do
anyway,
not do it.
The confidence, like when you go, it's kind of like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing it, and I know I'm doing good. But then you look around you and you see everybody who's been there for 4 or 5 years. They have their routine down, and now your confidence is down. But the thing that people don't realize is that once you keep going, once you're in your routine, then that's when your confidence comes. Like those people probably started off, whether it be 10 years ago or 10 months ago, they probably started off with less confidence too. But once you get your routine going, and that's in anything, once you get your thing going, your process going, then that's what your confidence is in.
And I think you've made it a habit at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When something becomes a habit, it's not necessarily effortless, but it's so ingrained in your routine that if you don't do it, it feels weird. So, the people that you see in there, the dudes like Cock Diesel, like, muscle definition. But nah, seriously, those are people who have got it down to the point that it's routine. Where if I don't go to the gym, it's kind of weird. It's like, this has been a weird day. Something didn't happen today. Like, and I low key be that way with church. Like, if it be on Sunday, if it be a Sunday and I don't go to church, and that which is kind of rare, honestly. I'll be like,
to church in a long time.
See, and it's not part of your habits, and it just don't feel weird no more. But like for me, it be feeling weird. I'd be like, so I was supposed to do something today. I was supposed to go have a conversation with God and fellowship with the saints. Amen. Amen. No, in fellowship.
That's another
in fellowship. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. No, but seriously, I think that another facet is being able to learn from it.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I kind of want to keep on Rachel's idea of, confidence and courage muscles, because the fact of the matter is, when you then are getting to the point where you're building up the habit, it's very important to understand why it's a habit now. What is the benefit of what you're doing? Because a lot of times we feel like, or we are doing things and we don't understand the reason behind them. Yeah. And we start to second guess, like, well, why am I doing this? It's like, well, when you started, this was to better yourself. Like, some people may be like, well, I'm gonna get up at 5 so I can like read, work out, and then make my meal for the day so I'm ready and I can organize my day. So then some days, people get it down to where it's on the cusp of being that habit routine. They're just like, why am I getting up every morning? Because they may have not read that morning or something. They didn't do some part of that routine. And they're like, well, how does...
Domino.
And then that's why I remember, I don't know if it was Oprah or somebody, but she was like, if I go more than 2 days without exercise, I start to feel sluggish or something like that. Or 3 days without exercise, I start to feel sluggish. And I think it's really important to, when you get to a point where on your journey, you said what?
That's how I am without coffee.
Oh, you can't survive without coffee?
Apparently not.
Do you drink your coffee black?
Yes, I do now. Well, sometimes, yeah. But I can't do cream anyway, so my stomach can't handle it.
Put in the comments, do you drink your coffee black? Because I do. I just did the Fred Martin Car Guys thing. Like, we know cars. But I think understanding the lessons is a huge part of it. And I feel like that's kind of where wisdom comes from. We I feel like we associate wisdom with age, and wisdom more or less has to do with experience. Thank you, Taz, Katrina, and Autumn for tuning in. I feel like it has to do with experience and how you're using your experience to, for lack of a better phrase, navigate through your present.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have right now. You can have future goals and you can't change your past. All you have control of right now is your present.
Exactly.
And to be able to deal with that and have that wisdom, you have to grab what you learned from your past.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like wisdom can come from other people's pasts.
Yeah.
To work for your future. So
exactly, and I feel like with that, the importance of like accountability partners is very that is keen, because especially with like getting up in the morning, like we said, if you don't do it 1 or 2 times, you
get out
and nobody
you kind of get out the routine.
And nobody knows, so it's just like whatever. Oh, I'll do 6 now. No, you got to keep it up. Because you started for a reason, and that accountability partner can always like bring you back to that reason.
Yeah, I feel like when people teach us from the lessons they've learned, we really have to like pay attention from that. And we are and another thing is like, all right, so there's this kind of rule of thumb which I for the most part agree with. It's like, don't take advice from people who you wouldn't trade places with. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, that's a good rule of thumb. But the thing about rule of thumbs are that they're generalization, huh?
Said it's just one finger.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it. You got to rest your fingers on there. But I feel like there are a lot of people that messed up that they ain't get where they needed to get to, but they know that you shouldn't be doing this because they did that and that was not the way.
But even people like more successful than you, like there are things that you don't know that you wouldn't want to trade places with them, even if you see that one thing. That's what I'm saying. That's just one.
It's like a smoke and mirrors type thing.
Yeah, like you don't want to trade places with anybody, so you can't really go off of that. Like, no, because they're a full experience, and so are you. And
like I said, people aren't monolithic, and the fact that somebody, just because they're not in a better place than you, to negate. It doesn't negate the fact that they may have wisdom that is applicable to you.
Absolutely. Some people have wisdom for themselves, but don't know how to navigate through it.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so sometimes when I'm writing, I notice that I'm like giving myself wisdom. It's almost like a divine thing. But it's like I'm giving myself wisdom, but I don't know exactly like where to go from here. Like in that moment, at least. Okay, how do I apply this to life? But I can, like, you know how it's so easy to tell other people, like, don't be afraid. Like, you just go for your dream. Go for your dream. Have confidence. But then when it's you, it's kind of just like, oh, I don't know what to do.
I think it's because we're emotionally connected to us. Like, and
we
not
know
just,
we see everything.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, you can't be really as fearful for somebody else as you can for yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like when we're operating in fear, we tend to make very hesitant decisions or impulsive decisions.
Yeah.
It's on either end of the spectrum. I feel like when we're fearful, we may just go ahead and do something without actually taking into consideration the factors that determine it, or don't jump headfirst in something that makes 100% sense for us to do. And it's because we're scared. And I know for a fact that I haven't jumped into a few things because I've been scared, or, you know, I haven't taken advantage of situations that would have been for my benefit and helped me benefit other people because I've been scared. And, you know, one thing we have to do is not necessarily have regrets. Because when you live life with regrets, I feel like you're living life with the fact of thinking, I would have been better off if I had not, or if I had done this. And I understand that train of thought, but I also understand.
Take what you did and then learn.
Somebody's like, oh well,
keep going.
I should have, like, one thing that I feel like I should have done earlier on. I just said to somebody, was like, oh, kind of like work on my credit a little more. Nothing's wrong with my credit right now. My credit's cool. But my credit's not great. Shout out to my dude, Smooth. His credit's really great. Shout out to the Glenn family with the good credit.
He got 3 different names.
But no, mine is cool. It's just like, I'd have been doing more before. But instead of sulking and being like, I'm like, well, let me just try. Yeah, what can I do now and just get it better than it is. We do.
They all over.
Oh, we just got one in here. Just says see you, and then some people tune in. What's up, Art?
Oh, sorry.
No, you cool. I'm glad. I didn't see that. I didn't see we had people tuned in. Tuned in.
Oh, his birthday just passed.
Who, Lil Wayne's?
Yeah.
He's another day off. He's like October, baby.
Was it September? September. It is September. Sorry, I got us off topic.
Oh no, you good. You good. But another thing that I feel like we should take from that is, are there things, because this episode is called Unfinished Business, are there some things that you need to leave by the wayside in order to pursue something else?
Oh yeah, I feel like you have to have a focus. Because I know for me, I'm very scatterbrained, and I'm very, I like to have my hand in different things. So it's just like, okay, am I about to learn how to paint, or am I about to work on music? Am I about to write poetry? Like, what am I going to focus on? And in order to at least get started, you have to have a focus, you have to have a direction, and you have to not necessarily let go, but you have to prioritize like what's going to take you where you need to be. So
I don't know why that's only bothering you.
I know. It's probably the fragrance.
Oh, yeah, I ain't got on no fragrance. I'm just regular.
Never that.
Soap smelling Willie B.
Soap smelling Willie B.
You smell like soap. Like, yes, that is correct. I do smell like soap. But yeah, I totally agree with that. I believe you can have your hands in different pots, but I feel like if you go about emptying your glass into other glasses too quickly, then
you have to be at a certain point.
Exactly. I feel like you should go about filling up your glass more, so you can put into other glasses to fill up those glasses more. Yeah. And I think the problem we always tend to run into is thinking we don't have enough time. Now, albeit,
or the contrary.
Yeah, or think we have too much time. I think the understanding. All right, I'm gonna go off topic real quick. So,
just for a second,
I was watching The Explained on Netflix.
I still gotta watch that.
I mean, it's a bunch of different episodes.
I know. I gotta watch it in abstract.
Yeah, but one of the episodes was talking about like our lifespan and longevity, and it was talking about like, oh, well, the average lifespan used to be around like 30, and then now it's kind of closer. Yeah, like that's when people would die. Like, so
30.
Yes, like that was the average lifespan.
I thought people were living longer.
I mean, now.
No, before.
I mean, yeah, like
most of them was like 600 and whatnot.
We don't know how they was counting in biblical days. Like maybe a year was like a month. But like, ooh, you made it a year. Like, it's been 30 days. Yesterday. That's a Beatles tune. But it's just like, but people's lifespans used to be shorter, and now that they've gotten significantly longer, we're trying to find more ways to expand the lifespan. Yeah. And then they looked at countries whose average lifespan tended to be far beyond the world average, and kind of saw what they did differently, and then saw how like cells acted as they split and divided, and kind of like sped up your aging. And one of the things, one of the interviewees made a point, and he said one of the things that we don't really want to figure out how to do is live forever, because then he said one of the great things about life is that it is finite. Yeah. That he was like, if things weren't finite, you wouldn't take the chance to cherish the things around you. Yeah. like if you knew you could live forever, I mean, unless you got shot
Yeah.
by
And live
a
like a
cop that
healthy
got
life
10 years,
forever.
but that's a different story.
Never be like an old person.
Yeah, but it's just like, imagine just being able to be old forever. Like, would you cherish anything? Like, you just notice the world go by. Like, that's why when people get to a certain age, you notice, like, they'll be like, oh, my whole train of thought is different now.
Yeah.
Like, I cherish things differently. But then I also thought about, what if we started taking that train of thought now?
Yeah, exactly. I love listening to older people talk just about how they, especially like when they get to that point where they just don't care what they say, they just start spilling.
Like Quincy Jones?
Ooh,
Like,
yeah, I love that. Like, tell me the truth, tell me everything, and give me all the advice in this state. No hesitation.
But what do you think about the fact that do you think being able to live longer, and I'm gonna get back to the unfinished business thing, but you gonna see
It's gonna come around.
you gonna see how I'm gonna whip this back around. Do you think being able to have access to a longer lifespan would have a negative effect in the long run, because we'd have a much more disproportionate amount of elderly people being possibly taking care of everybody younger than them, and then we'd end up going through a cycle where people are like, well, I don't want to have a lot of kids or have any kids, because I don't want them to have to deal with taking care of their parent for like 30 years now. Because if you think about, well, yeah, think about it.
But I don't think, do people want to live longer if they have to be taken care of?
And that was a good point that you just brought up. So in that episode of Explain, they had like a section where they were like interviewing older people, and then the one older male, he was like I wouldn't have a problem like living longer. He's like, good health.
Yeah.
I'm able to do stuff. Yeah. And I think the fact of the matter is, like, I think a lot of times even older people now, if they are, if they're in a condition where they have to be taken care of, they kind of would rather not be here.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I feel like they wish that their family would let them go. Because like, it really sunk in the other day, because I remember I don't know if you ever had an older person tell you this before, but I've had an older person tell me, when I die, don't bury me. Don't waste no money on that. Just get me cremated. It already still costs a lot, and just get on with it. No funeral or nothing. Like, yo, they be so serious. And then what happens is we want to have a funeral, and I'll never forget, somebody told me once, it was like, the funeral is for the living.
Oh yeah, it's for closure.
But another thing I found out is closure is not always necessary.
You know that.
So it's really weird to see people dealing with closure when that's not always a necessity.
Yeah.
And we're doing things out of a routine or a ritual that may not apply to that situation.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to achieving our goals or achieving any type of dream that we're trying to accomplish, we sometimes put in front of us routines or rituals or habits that aren't necessarily benefiting us in the long run, or benefiting us on getting closer to our goal. We're doing it just out of happenstance. And what we have to understand is, if we're going to develop habits, you like how I turned that around, amen. If we're going to develop any type of routine or any type of habit or any type of procedure, we need to make sure that it's rooted in purpose.
Yeah, your purpose.
Yeah. And it has to be uniquely identifiable to you.
Yeah.
Because if you can't identify at the end of the day why you're doing something, and all you can think of is like, that's the way it's supposed to be done, or like, that's the way I was told to do it, or like, if you have not really internalized what is the reason that you're doing this thing to progress you forward, sometimes you may run into the fact of the matter of you're doing that out of a fruitless routine. And because it's not rooted in anything, that procedure or that practice won't bear fruit.
Yeah.
I like that one. Amen. I'm gonna have to tweet that one. Amen.
You have to tweet that one.
Amen. But no, I like that. Whenever you're doing something that is rooted in an identifiable purpose, it will bear fruit.
Yeah.
It may not be in the time frame that you want or expect it to be. It may not be in the manner that you want it to be.
In your lifetime.
And it may not have all of the stops on the journey that you had foreseen that you take.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, when you are rooted in something that has identifiable purpose to you, it will bear fruit.
Claps for Willie B. If we had the thing, I would put the clap sound.
The claps.
We don't have it though.
I might have to make a clap effect. If you like what you're watching, if you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, everything is like here.
It's like down
Here.
here.
So make sure that you following us, and if you really like it, make sure you hit an extra like and you hit that share button too.
Share it twice, today and tomorrow.
Any last words for you?
No last words for me.
You don't want to leave the people with anything?
I think we left them with a lot. No, seriously, I think that was good. Like, just your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Walking in your purpose and making sure that everything you're doing is in line with your purpose. Yes, feed off of other people because they have wisdom, but make sure that it fits what you're doing. So know what you're doing and figure out how to do it the way that you need to do it to fulfill your purpose.
I like that. And for me, I just want to say, remember, it's not necessarily how hard you fall, but how well you can get up.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Well, make sure you guys tune in next week, 9:30 on the dot. I'm Willie B.
My name is Favor,
And this is your reality check. Hey, we got that one.